Hey guys, it's Paradise, and today we cannot wait to share with you our interview with producer Ryōzō Tsujimoto and director Yuya Tokuda of Monster Hunter Wilds. This was such an amazing opportunity, and we're super thankful for Capcom for allowing us to do this interview. Now, we have been huge Monster Hunter fans for years now across different generations of Monster Hunter games, so this was a massive opportunity to put forward questions that not just us but also you, the community, would want to know. We spent a while figuring out the best questions possible to ask that would be interesting to get answers from for all of us. We prepped for this interview quite a bit with a bunch of practice runs and different tests. It was a lot of work. And while we were happy with everything in testing, of course when the big day comes, one of the picture's camera quality wasn't quite perfect and had some issues, so we will be upgrading that the next time we get an interview opportunity. The whole interview was actually a lot longer than this, and we do have the full version covering additional details on things like friendly fire changes, the possibility of things like a Monster Hunter 4U remake, and a lot more. So if you want to see the full version, including the entire Japanese answers to each question, then tell us if that's something you're interested in below and you want to see it. But for now, let's jump into it and drop a like below if you do enjoy this kind of content, and tell us what you think, as we haven't done an interview for quite a while.
Tokuda-san, Ryōzō-san, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. It is truly an honor to not just be here, but to be able to ask Monster Hunter questions. We're both really excited about this, so thank you for taking the time, and Patrick for being here to give us all of the rundowns of the answers. Let's get straight into it.
We, as a community, we really appreciated the community update where you're being super transparent and talking about the feedback changes. One of the weapons that didn't get much in the way of like changes or spoken about was the charge blade. Do you have any tidbits about that? Is the charge blade being changed in any way? Anything hot off the presses?
The charge blade has had updates as well, so rest assured that just because I didn't get around to sort of providing specific information in the stream, it doesn't mean it's been left totally alone. I didn't get into specifics, but we definitely adjusted some of the parameters on it and the properties of it to make sure that it's a viable weapon from the start of the game right through to endgame contents. So charge blade users, don't worry.
I just want to expand on that question a bit more, if that's okay. So with the charge blade, there's the super amped element discharge, which is like a fan favorite playstyle to go for. And with some of the new changes in Wilds, it's now longer combo strings to get to it. And we've seen some players feel mixed about that. I just wonder if there's anything that can be said about that sort of super amped element discharge playstyle.
バランス調整とかはしてるのでしょうか? Trying to think off the top of my head, but I don't think we did anything massive to reduce the kind of distance down the combo tree, if that's what you mean, for how you get to the sort of the most powerful attacks at the end of it. So the experience that you would have had in the OBT in terms of how many moves it takes to finally get to that amped up discharge would probably be about the same in the full game.
We play a lot of Monster Hunter, and one of the things that we're most interested in is the endgame content, because we like the harder, kind of gritty content. Do you have any, how is it being treated this time? Because that's where we spend most of our time. We're super interested in it.
I think it'll feel a little bit different, and you'll have more options at your disposal because of the way that we've made the seamless experience of the maps work across the whole game. So until now, when you're playing endgame content, you typically had to post a quest, or if you're doing one of the more relatively open investigation style quests where you could explore, you still have to post it, and you and 3 others would go out on that quest. But just like in the rest of the game, you can now just go out into the map, and when you're at the endgame level, there will be multiple endgame level monsters, perhaps just roaming the map for you to explore and find. So you'll be opening up your map and everyone's finding the target you want to go after next and sort of exploring freely that way. So I think it's more of a seamless experience than before.
I
think as well in the past, the end game tended to be focused on the real big targets, and you were always choosing like the really big takedown for the best possible parts. That's of course still an aspect, but again, speaking to the idea that it's more of an open field where you'll be able to organically encounter monsters other than the target you had in mind. I want to make it meaningful to also take those chances to see, oh, I wasn't planning on hunting this guy, but actually I'll take it because he's here and we can get some good rewards. And When you do that kind of organic sort of side hunting during the end game, you'll be getting reward parts that you can use in a kind of a sort of melding style process that you can put towards decorations and end game weapons. So I think it slightly expands your purview beyond just what's the best possible target for us to go after right now. And it lets you go on the map and be like, yeah, we're going for that target, but we're also not going to pass up any opportunities for rewards along the way.
For my next question, I want to talk about the community weapon design contests that we've had in the past. And they brought some really great weapons like the Ignition Greatsword in Monster Hunter World, which was one of my favorites. I was just wondering if we potentially can expect some kind of contest like this for Wilds.
すごく斬新なものもありましたけど、ワイルズでもどうですか？やりませんか？I would definitely consider it. I mean, if there was enough demand for these kind of contests in the game, we wouldn't rule out putting one in a future title update. So it's really up to how much we see fan demand for it.
So my girlfriend actually has a question. Where is Puggy?
彼女から絶対聞いてこいって言われてる質問ですけど、プーギーはどこですかこのゲームでなぜいないですかと。内緒です。It's a secret.
プーギーが好きな方がいっぱいいるっていうのはすごく分かっているので、はい、
We know there are a lot of Poogie fans out there. But that's it.
Now, my next question, I want to talk briefly about speedrunners. They're quite a core part of Monster Hunter, some of the best players in the world clearing monsters quite quickly. I wondered if there was any thought process into maybe like leaderboards or tournaments that these speedrunners might be inclined to, have a spotlight on them to show off their skill and dedication.
We are aware of the passionate speedrunning community, so it's something we've considered in the past, whether we could implement something built into the game to help people enjoy that aspect of the game. It's been difficult to do in the past, which is why we never quite managed it, but I'd say it's still something we have in our mind for maybe a possible future aspect to explore, but there's certain kind of hurdles to clear before you can implement that in a meaningful way, but it's definitely something we're aware of.
Monster Hunter has traditionally been like 4-player hunts. Is there any expansion on that in Wilds in terms of, or just in Monster Hunter in general, that idea of trying to have more players hunt with you, like 16-player hunts? Koltaroth was like a little teaser or tester of that, but seeing that maybe in Wilds would be exciting for players.
There's nothing we could really say at the minute about that, but we find that putting events in the game is a great way to have more than just 4 players at a time experiencing the game together and communicating, because everyone kind of comes online and experiences the event together, and that in a way to me is kind of like a more than 4-player experience. Putting aside special quests like you mentioned, like Cove Taroth, that have been in past titles where the rules were different, so it was kind of a different experience anyway. For the baseline style of quest, the relationship between the monster and the maximum of 4 players is kind of where I see the concept of Monster Hunter shining through, because each player still feels like they're really contributing to the hunt, and that there's different sort of times during that journey when each player will have a moment to shine. And that's why we've always had 4 players since the very first title in the series for all these years. If you raise that up and it's like 50-person hunt, 100-person hunt, the actual relationship each person has with the monster kind of gets thinner and thinner until it's not necessarily mattering what each individual player is doing to the monster at any given time. And that's not really the play experience that we want people to have with Monster Hunter.
There's been a lot of supplementary Monster Hunter books and with things of extra lore in the world of Monster Hunter, particularly in Japan, but not all of it makes its way to the West in translations. So sometimes the Western audience might feel that we don't get as much information about monster lore and stuff like that. And there's some really great YouTubers, for example, Oceaniz, who does like lore videos on monsters, and a lot of it comes from these books and literature that we do have translated. I was just wondering if there's any thought if this type of media that is already over there in Japan, but maybe not made it to the West, is being looked at to be brought to the big Western audience that's now growing.
I do think as a producer personally that it would be great to get stuff like that fans enjoy out more. But to be honest, the licensing business is quite separate from the development team that we're on. And it's really kind of up to the licensees who pitch a project or work with us to create this or that book, or design illustration book or a lore book, what kind of product they want to make. And if they're making it in Japanese for the Japanese market, that's kind of the product that they wanted to make. And it's a lot of work for our team to get involved in those, even just in Japanese. It takes a lot of resources to help them create all the text and all the illustrations and images and things. So it's not that I don't think that people would enjoy that, but and I think it's a great evidence that there's such a great passionate fan base that they're working on it themselves to kind of share the information with each other. But at the end of the day, licensing projects are really kind of a business matter for the licensee to bring to us. And if there was interest in such things, it would have to be handled through the licensing side of the business. But I'm personally really happy to know that there are people who enjoy digging deep into the lore.
Ryōzō-san, Tokuda-san, and Patrick, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing to chat, and I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure our audience will really appreciate this talk as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. We really hope you guys enjoyed the questions that we brought to Ryōzō-san and Tokuda-san. If you would like to see the full version of the interview, then do tell us below and we'll bring that to you guys. But for now, make sure you're subscribed below for more Monster Hunter content coming very, very soon. Here at Arekkz Gaming, we're two friends who love to play games. You have me, Paradise, as well as 2-6.
Our goal is to keep the videos as concise as possible by cutting out any of the fluff and focusing on what really matters with high quality videos.
So make sure you're subscribed down below for more videos on your favorite games coming very, very soon.